Good morning, everyone. This is Sebastiano Toffaletti from the European Digital SME Alliance headquarters in Brussels, Belgium. Very welcome to this event, meeting, webinar, which is about digital innovation hubs, how to make them work for SMEs in particular. You know, the Alliance is the largest network in Europe of digital small and medium-sized enterprises. So we are very glad that our members are particularly active on different topics. And this one in particular, you know, we represent a constituency which is the most advanced SMEs in the digital revolution. They really want to take a leadership role in driving Europe through the digital revolution and becoming a competitive and innovation economy. And definitely the topic of today, I think, is quite interesting for our members and also for the larger public, because we really want to see how this interesting initiative of the European Commission can help and impact the SME ecosystem in Europe. So we are talking about a new program which is announced by the Commission, which is worth an investment of approximately 9 billion euro between contributions from the Commission, so the EU budget and the national budgets of the member states. So 9 billion euro in total to fund the development of the European digital innovation hubs. So these hubs are expected really to foster the digital transformation in SMEs and also public administrations, you know, at the local level. So we really want to go down in the regions at the local level and understand how these hubs can help the local ecosystems. You know, definitely there are SMEs, there are different maturity levels when we speak about digital technologies. There are SMEs which are more advanced, those who develop software, develop technologies, those that are typically the membership of this organization. And then there is, you know, the large majority of SMEs have very big variety of maturity levels. We hear many SMEs being like really at the beginning need for you know, even raising their awareness about the importance of digitalization, the importance of, you know, kind of transforming their business models in a way. But some of them really are at the beginning of the journey. So we hear people saying, we need to help these guys at least having a website or selling online, or, you know, using the very basic software tools that use an enterprise to be a little bit more efficient. So there are definitely different needs out there, and there is a hope, there is an idea that these hubs should help the companies whatever maturity level they are. I believe the hubs are not there to replace the market operators, are not there to digitize directly other companies, but are there to promote the functioning of ecosystems where there are, you know, providers of technologies and there are users of technologies. And the more these two can work together and the different partners can work together, there are startups, there are digital SMEs, there are traditional companies, and so on. The more everyone can work together in a well-functioning ecosystem, the more we can advance Europe's digital transformation and be more competitive. And the same, of course, goes for the public administrations, which have, I believe, a very important role, not just because they need to provide digital services to their citizens and businesses, but because they are important purchasers of services, and so they can drive the market with public procurement, and they can, you know, help foster certain local players, which then will ideally become, you know, local champions and even European champions, providing digital services. But I don't want to speak too long this morning. We have a long program with many very good speakers from different countries in Europe. So it's really a European event. You see probably the agenda on the screen. We have, you know, really experts from all over. I'm very glad that there is so much interest in this topic from our community, from our members, and also from many other stakeholders. We will start with a keynote from Christina Sinemus, who's the Minister of Digital Strategy and Development from Germany, the state of Hessen. We'll get her quickly in a few seconds, and then we will start with panel 1 and then panel 2, where we have, again, people representing hubs in different countries, people who have a strong expertise in innovation, in digital technologies, and so on. We will have the European Commission as well with us. So we will really hear the different perspectives, and we try to learn something and ideally come to conclusions to what is that European Digital and Innovation Hubs have to do, and how can we also foster their cooperation. How can they work together in a network that is not just isolated hubs, but it's a bit more coherent than just different national initiatives. So let me then introduce Christina Sinemus, who's, as I said, she's Minister for Digital Strategy and Development from the state of Hessen. They are quite advanced in this conversation about digital innovation hubs, so she agreed to give a very short address. I think it's just 3 minutes. She's recorded in video, and after we have heard from Christina, we will start with panel 1. So I'd like to ask my studio, my colleagues to see if they can project Christina's video for the participants.
Hola, dear Mrs. Sassen. Dear friends in a digital Europe, Europe must now lead the way on digital. This is the motto of the new digital strategy of the European Commission under the presidency of Ursula von der Leyen. I agree with the request, and I am convinced that we should give priority to the digital transformation of small and medium-sized enterprises. The challenge is clear. The needs of SMEs are more professional support in the digitalization, good management of these processes, and the digital upskilling of their workforce. Therefore, I'm fully in line with the European Commissioner for Internal Market, Thierry Breton, who wants to double the share of SMEs using cloud services and big data by 2025. One of the Commission's main instruments to meet this goal are the European Innovation Hubs. I support the idea of the Commission to establish a network of up to 257 European digital innovation hubs across the EU by 2021. In this spirit, 2 promising consortia have formed in Hesse, my homeland, with the support of my ministry, and have submitted an expression of interest to the national German pre-selection process. European Innovation Hub on for East and North Hesse, which you will be informed about in the details in today's panel 2 by Manuel Krieg. And the Innovation Hub South Hesse, coordinated by the House of IT in Darmstadt, my hometown. In both cases, it has been possible to bring together strong partners. The thematic focus in Northeast Hesse is on Industry 4.0. That means focus on middle stand. In Southern Hesse, the focus is on smart region, smart government, and the digitalization of SMEs. These 2 consortia complete each other and have closely coordinated their activities. Today's event will deliver a strong impulse how, on the hand, Hessen can be part of a successful Europe. Digital Innovation Network, and the other hand, how to build corresponding hubs in the EU, based on outstanding digital competencies in all over Europe, in all the member states. The state of Hesse invites you to connect, be part of a strong Europe, of a strong SME Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very nice words of introduction. With that, I will immediately start the first panel. We are a few minutes in advance, but I'm sure we will be able to use the spare time for maybe to collect additional questions from the audience to have a bit more of discussion. So I think no one will have a problem if we start a few minutes ahead. The first panel will be about basically we wanna look into how the hubs can serve the needs of SMEs in short. And we will start with. I'm very glad to have the European Commission. We will start with Anne-Marie Sassen. Anne-Marie is Deputy Head of Unit for Technologies and Systems of Digitizing Industry. So the unit which is actually in charge of the digital innovation hubs, among other things. And she is actually the person who actually coordinates within the Commission. She coordinates with the member states and the regions on this initiative of the European Digital Innovation Hub. So she is really, of course, the initiative stems from Commissioner Breton, as we all know, but at the end of the day, somebody, as you know, has to do the job. And so I'm very glad that Anne-Marie is with us because she is the person actually who's leading this initiative. So she's the person that the Commission appointed to be really in charge of it. So Anne-Marie, perhaps you will have a few slides. Unfortunately, your video doesn't work this morning, but you have a few slides. And the question that you will perhaps try to dig into is basically what is the vision of the Commission? What are these digital innovation hubs, and why does the Commission want to support them? And also, what is the plan and what is the vision for these hubs under the Digital Europe program? We heard it's a 9 billion program in total. So Anne-Marie, I hope you can start. Perhaps you need to first unmute yourself. I think we seem to not hear Anne-Marie.
Yes.
At least.
Now you can hear me. Yes.
Good. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Sebastiano, for organizing this panel, which indeed is very relevant for us. And yeah, it was also nice to hear the words of the Minister Sinemes and to see how also the state of Hessen is really involved in this. I just want to correct one little thing that you said. You were talking about a 9 billion euro initiative, but that is the amount for the whole Digital Europe program. The Digital Innovation Hubs, they will take 10% of that, so it will be around 900 million euro, which is still a lot of money, but it's still another dimension than the 9 billion that you were mentioning. And what is the reason? Yeah, what is the reason why the Commission wants to invest so much money in a network of around 200 digital innovation hubs everywhere in Europe? Well, the main reason is that there are still many companies who are not using digital. And there are important differences between countries. Some countries, for instance, in Denmark, 53% of all the companies are highly digitized, but then in Greece and also in other countries, only 6% of them are highly digitized. There are also important difference between the size of the company. SMEs in general, only 25% are highly digitized, whereas with large enterprises, 62% are highly digitized. And the technologies, they are available, but due to all kinds of other barriers and also the fact that it's just very difficult to do a digital transformation, it makes that that not all the companies are benefiting. And we believe that all the the companies, they'll be to really go through their digital transformation. We've seen also during the COVID crisis that you cannot function without digital. So now to recover from the crisis, it's even more important that all companies will invest in digital innovation and are able to work in a digital manner. So these digital innovation hubs, they should provide technological expertise and also experimentation facilities sector, both of them. They will there will be 200 spread all over Europe. So in every region, on average, there will be one digital innovation hub. And what their distinctive offer is that they that they start from the needs of the companies who are not investing yet in digital. They understand their needs, propose what could be a solution, and then they offer a phase where these companies, they can test out these solutions before investing in it. What Sebastiano said in the beginning was also very important. It should not be the digital innovation hub who has all the knowledge and does all the work for the, to provide solutions to these user companies, but they should really involve the ecosystem. So they should do innovation scouting, understand the startups which are there, what do they have to offer, or SMEs that are offering ICT solutions, what is their offer and how could these possible users benefit from that. And they should test together and invest together, because then this testing and experimentation, it will have benefits for both. The user then understands, for instance, how to use this new robot in its production process, but the ICT company or the startup that delivers that robot has an early customer, can customize its product, and then later can also bring this product to other similar customers. So to build this ecosystem, that is really important, and every digital innovation hub should have a not-for-profit objective and really have as an objective to improve the economy, the local economy. Also, the link with the public sector is important, indeed, as Sebastiano said, for instance, to support public procurement. And when governments need to do public procurement, it is, for instance, difficult for the government to understand the market, what are the players who deliver products. And therefore, they turn quite easily to big providers because they will deliver everything. But if they want to do more innovative procurement, they can also involve their startups and their ICT SMEs, for instance. But the governments usually don't know how to find them. But through the Digital Innovation Hub, there would be a good intermediary to make this links with needs and the industry who could supply needs. So this can really improve the innovation at a local level. But of course, it shouldn't stay at the local level. And with this network, we really want to combine the advantages of that also works at the European level. So the idea is that when, for instance, a local digital innovation hub, they have their specialization, which is based on the strengths of the region and what is available there, and also with the needs of the region. But when they're specialized, it also means that there are things that they cannot support. But then there will be another digital innovation hub somewhere in the European network who could provide the support that the local company does not have. Or it could provide those SMEs or startups from other parts of Europe that could provide a very good solution to the local company. So by having also this network at the European level, we will be able to create European value chains where innovations that are developed in one region can be transported to other regions. So that is also a very important effect, that the local ecosystem is important, but through the network of the hubs, we will be able to make this local ecosystem really a European ecosystem. And then the other big advantage of the networking is also that all the digital innovation hubs, they can learn from each other. They can replicate good practices which are somewhere they can replicate in their local environment. So what I think also what came across from the speech from Minister Sinemis is also that it are not only the ecosystems that we are going to connect, but we are also connecting the policymakers. So the regional policymakers, they are thinking about their digital innovation hub. We have involved the national member states who are pre-selecting the hubs. And then we also have the European policymakers. So altogether, we are investing in the same network of hubs. We try to let them, for instance, play a role in the recovery. And all that will really stimulate, well, first of all, the investments, because we are co-investing, but also the policies, that they go in the same direction. And I think all that will be very beneficial. So combining this local and the EU approach will combine really the advantages of being local, understanding the local context, speaking the local language, but then at the same time combining with the European added value, the fact that the digital innovation hubs are part of the Digital Europe program, and through that they will get access to high performance computers, to resources in artificial intelligence. They will get access to cybersecurity resources. So they can really make the local digital innovation hub very good because of all the input that they get from the Digital Europe program and the other digital innovation hubs. So this is what I wanted to say as an introduction, and I hand over to Sebastiano.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. I think it's a rather clear picture. So I have to correct the figure. So it's not 9 billion, but it is 10% of that. So 900 million euros. Are we okay with that figure, Anne-Marie? Can we undersign it? Or
well,
not
the
yet?
900 million euro was at the time when the Commission did the proposal, but we already know from the Council in July, when the member states they decided to reduce a bit the budget with 17%. But this is not yet fully confirmed. So for the moment, but probably it will be 17% less, which is around 750 million euro.
750. Okay, so we stick with one figure now, 750. Which is the best approximation. Of course, we don't know exactly how the discussion will finish, but the best approximation nowadays is 750. Okay, thanks. It's still quite a substantial investment, so we can I hope we can definitely count on that. But let me continue with the panel, because the purpose of today is to really bring different experiences on the table. And so we have found people from our members, but also a bit beyond, who are themselves perhaps running digital innovation hubs. And we wanted to start with one experience, which is the one in Aachen, in Germany, with the Digital Innovation Hub over there, Digital Hub Aachen, I think. We have therefore Mr. Hugo Glaser, who's member of the management board of Digital Hub Aachen. We believe it's interesting because, again, we have in the different countries, we have, of course, best practices. We have people who are a bit more or less advanced in this work for digital innovation hubs, and we have heard several times that Aachen is a best practice. Aachen, I know they have been able recently to collect, to raise 40 million euros. I hope this time I have the figure right. Not from EU money or from government money, but really from the companies themselves, who are in demand for such a hub to help themselves digitize and really innovate and find new business models to be ahead, to be leaders of this digital revolution. So I'm very glad that Udo is with us today. And so the concrete question that we will start with him is, so how should digital innovation hubs be best set, in your opinion, to serve the needs of SMEs? And what is is there a model of collaboration that you have been thinking, collaboration between traditional and digital companies and startups, So how important is the local business ecosystem, and how should it be reflected in the hub? Udo, so you have a presentation as well, so you please, I let you the floor.
Thank you very much for your entrance, and thank you very much for the invitation, and good morning together, and a warm hello from Aachen. So I'm honored, and it's a pleasure to present the Digital Hub Aachen. And perhaps as a little example how to make it work for the SMEs. So SMEs are very important, and we all know digital revolution goes on and pace matters, and we missed the first wave, but we have to catch the fish and the second wave. So just to take a short review to the past, in Aachen it was a strong initiative from Industry, Politics and Science Network. So in the beginning, we got from the ministry 1.5 million, so in sum 1.5 million for the hub of Aachen. The initiative was a call for funding for 6 digital hubs in Northern Westphalia. So, and in Aachen we have to fund 1.5 million in 40 days. And this is something special because everybody gets together. And that's what makes it really exciting. The church, the BITME, and our president Oliver, and Dr. Oliver Grün, and Professor Dr. Malte Brettel, they push it. And we got all this well-known SMEs. We got the church and the region and the city. We all come together. This is something special. So the potential of the area is really huge. We have 95,000 companies and 1,600 tech startups, Excellence University, and also the European region with the Netherlands and Belgium. We do a lot together in the region, and this makes it also special. Additional 70,000 students are on. So the vision was Digital Aachen area. We empower digitization. We shape together established companies, startups, and all these people, all those people in the region. So our concept was we need this digital enablers, so the ICT companies and startups. We need the digital users, so the companies who are looking for new solutions, and a broad supporter initiative. So with this concept, the target was digital business models. So we know a lot. We are very, very strong in traditional business, digital business processes. And when we get to digitized offering, it's getting less. And if you go to digital business models, we have a lack of digital business models. We need to push this. And just to give you an overview of the last 3 years, now we have 360 members with 160 SMEs, 200 startups, and 20 corporations to build these digital business models. So how did we do this? I want to rush through because 5 minutes are short. Our range of services consists of 3 pillars. We have co-working, matching, training, and consulting. We have the user space in the digital church, and it's really amazing to work there and to get the energy, but perhaps not the last 6 months, but also in an online world, we come together with a lot of formats. We have 200 co-workers, 800 square meters. We have these meeting rooms, these come together rooms. We have a main stage for events. And in the hybrid events in the past, we have a lot of people who was really fantastic on the auditorium to join this community. We have 300 events with 50,000 participants, 100 this year to date, on-site, online, and hybrid. We have annual hackathons, 500 direct matchings, more or less every year, and network plus matching services. This is our best practices. I guess the events is one of the keys to come together. So we have Digital Summit, Digital Culture Day. Culture is really a big thing at the SMEs. We have to come together on every first Thursday of the month, pitch stages, meet the startups. Meet the Startups is also original, so we changed the location between the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany, and the SMEs are visiting the startups and catching their ideas, and then they work together, and then we have really nice best practices to show them that it's worth to get in this digitization world. We have a matching platform for the members, so a marketplace, focus groups, and the focus groups are self-organized. So our members, SMEs, they organize a group, for example, security, and we support them as much as we can. We have a job market, And with the focus groups and the job market, we try to prohibit this brain drain so that the people stay in the region from the university. We have a think tank. Smart city is also a big topic in the area. Sustainable urban district, mobility platform. How can we be sustainable for the future? We have a hub academy with ongoing workshops and e-learning courses, also online, hybrid, and as EDIHs formats. Something like the digital strategy sprint, where the managing directors, CEOs of the SMEs can join the knowledge from home. So it's a weekend. In normal daily business, they do not have the time to learn what is needed to develop this digital business. But with this format, they can do this at home. Then we have developed a workshop format, so 4+3+X workshops for everyone who's joining the hub. For the basic members, business members, enterprise members. They all join an onboarding, readiness check, an analysis, an initial workshop. We call this the hub journey. I guess everyone has to go through this journey, every SME. And this is what makes them excited, to pick them up where they are, to show them, hey, it's not that difficult. Digitalization is such a big word, but in fact, it's easy. It's really easy. We ask them, what is your daily problem? What is something that is really annoying the last 3 years? What can we solve to make your business and your people and your life better? And then they are telling us, okay, I have this and this and this issue. Then we step into this digitalization world from his wording, in his speech, in his world. At the end, we have to identify digital opportunities. We have to drive top-down and bottom-up initiative with the people and with the business model, and drive the implementation and the operation. That's what we do daily. So what is needed? A great team, a great community, a great region, the people who want to do it, to talk to everyone in his bubble, because every SME is something like a little bubble in his world, and there's a lot of things to do, and to give him the time and the enthusiasm to go forward with his treasures, and everyone has treasures. This is what makes it successful. So let's shape the future together. That's what I want to say with the last slide, and be successful with this really, really important topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Udo. I think it was quite clear. But let me correct one figure, because again, I don't wanna put out figures that are not correct. Because you mentioned that you raised 1.5 million in 40 days in 2016. But what happened in 2020? Because I heard you raised 40 million. Is it correct, or am I shooting a figure which is wrong?
Yeah, 40 million is a big money. It's a digital hub itself. So it's as an initiative.
Okay, so who collected that?
I do not know. I cannot answer it right now.
Okay, good. We heard that anyway. We heard that from one of your founders, Oliver Gunn, who's also our president, that overall this was the figure that was collected in the community. So, but anyway, for sure,
University of Aachen founded it. So
okay.
that was funding for the university, and we are part of. We are part of this initiative. Yes, of course.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot. Okay, let me continue the round of initial presentations with the next guest, who's Professor Han Gerrit. Han is, a long-term innovator with 30 years experience renewing businesses with IT, with digital technologies. He works for Capgemini Invent, but he is also a professor at the university. So you really have a lot of experience in innovation and entrepreneurship yourself, because you've been working and teaching at the same time. So the question for Han is really, why are digital innovation hubs so important in supporting both the traditional and the digital SMEs, and how are they positioned to boost SME innovation in Europe and support digitalization, and why do we need why do we actually need state intervention, EU support, EU money? Why is it not happening without the EU money, or is it maybe happening already? So Han, please.
Yes, thank you. So and great that you. I'm currently working at Capgemini Invent, not Invest. But that gives a different sound. And I'm a professor at the VU University in Amsterdam, where I teach on digital entrepreneurship. And before I joined Capgemini Invent, I've been a founder of 3 companies, mainly high-tech companies. So I have both perspectives, both the small company size as well as the big, although mostly in the IT sphere. I think what we have seen, so I've been working in innovation consulting for the last 15 years. And the first speaker reminded me of something, and that's that what we have seen in the last 15 years is that all industries have a different pace in adopting new technology. So if you look at IT, for example, or like mobile, whatever, I think that 15 years ago, the first companies that were really looking into developing innovation capabilities were the telcos and maybe fast-moving consumer goods. And so every industry has its own pace in adopting new stuff. And what we see now is typically construction companies. They come now and some other companies. So that's one thing that we need to keep in mind when we're trying to help companies, that we need to figure out what is the pace in an industry. The other thing that I think is very important for hubs is that if you're a big company and a new technology comes up, you can make someone free, 1 person, 2 persons, or maybe hire even an extra person to explore that. You know, if you're a big company and you say, hey, we want to know how social media works, you just hire 2, 3 young people and they're going to do it. In a small company, you don't have that space, you don't have those people available, and you can't pay basically that extra personnel. So there's a different dynamic in learning how a technology or an innovation can be adopted into your organization. Of course, when you are able to do that, in many cases, a smaller company, it could be easier than in a large company because you need to redesign less business processes and retrain less people. But also, like in the introduction speech, reskilling people, that is easier done in a big company than in a small company in most cases. So there's definitely a reason to have state support for smaller companies to do so. And I think it will become more and more important that we have that. And that's due to the fact that we see now the Industry 4.0 coming up, or the introduction of IoT in all kinds of industries. And that basically means that all companies will be more connected into their value networks, into their value chains. Yep. In an entire supply chain, companies would like to know what's going on in all the steps before and after us. And we definitely are moving into that direction. Yeah, it means that value chains will become more transparent. The status of everything is known in the entire value chain, basically. But that means that if SMEs can't adopt those technologies, if they're not using those technologies, they can't be part of those value chains anymore. We really have to make sure that they are getting up to the level that they can adopt those technologies as a prerequisite to stay in business, basically. Yeah, and maybe there might be some differences again in the industry, per industry. So some industries might be faster in adopting these technologies, and other ones might be slower in adopting these technologies. But definitely it's very important for all SMEs to adopt those technologies to make sure that you don't fall out. Yeah. And now I've been developing some ecosystems for my clients, bringing startups and larger corporates together. And we learned a lot of things from that. And I think what we see here, what is very important, if you want to let people collaborate, and this is not like rocket science, you put in some effort, and you would like to get something back out of that. So it's always a puzzle that you have to make sure that everybody puts something in and everybody gets something back. So you should align what everybody would like to get out of that. And I think in many cases it helps to do that. Like, for example, look at parties industry-wise and say, okay, you're in the same industry, you're part of the same value chain. How can you learn from each other and better connect so that you all get a bit better? And make sure that you capture those learnings and make them available for other companies. I think that's very important. Innovation is a learning process. Innovation is a learning process, and that's again also touches back on big companies versus small companies. Bigger companies have more people available to learn, so we should make sure that we can learn from them and spread those learnings across smaller companies too. Because, you know, if we're really innovating, it means that not every try that we do with a new technology will be successful, but we learn the most from the things that don't work, and so we should also make sure that we capture that knowledge and spread that across. And I think that's something that a European network could help to do, to make sure that we capture the learnings and spread those. And don't be afraid if a project didn't succeed, because my own experience is the biggest failures delivered the biggest learnings and made us, it got us in a position that we could make the best next step. So I think, well, maybe to conclude on the introduction then, I think it's about looking at how to make sure that we get all value, that all the participants get value out of that. Make sure that we capture learnings, and I think government-supported innovation hubs could help to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Han. It's about understanding how innovation works and how we can engage the different parties in a process that, as you say, that brings value to all of them, such that they have an incentive basically to do it. And then, you know, the next question will be perhaps for later is, how do we make, once we know that we need public support, how do we make best use of it? Because if we have to invest 900 million euros or 750, sorry, million euros, then, you know, there are probably good or less good ways to invest it, and, you know, to make sure we get something valuable out of it. So I think this conversation is important, at least in that respect, because we are at the beginning of a program, and we definitely want to have a say in how the money is going to be used. But I don't want to anticipate too much discussion of later. Instead, let me then continue with the next speaker, who's going to be Jose Lucio Gonzalez Jimenez, if I say it all. Jose Lucio in short, perhaps.
Indeed.
Good morning, Jose Lucio.
Good morning.
We have heard Udo from Germany, Anne from the Netherlands. Now we go to Spain with Jose Lucio. Where are you based, Jose Lucio?
In Madrid.
In Madrid, excellent.
In the middle of the maelstrom today.
Yes, well, Brussels is particularly a better place for the moment. Excellent. So we have Jose, who's actually someone who's directly involved in a cyber lab, which is, you know, an example of what could be a digital innovation hub, because the cyber lab in Madrid is already connecting different stakeholders. In particular, you're very connected with INCIBE, which is the national Spanish agency for cybersecurity, but of course also with the business associations, CONETIC, which is the SME association member of the Digital SME Alliance, but also the chambers of commerce, IAE, and many more organizations that contribute to your work. So the question for you will be, how can we build on regional strengths to build a leading digital innovation hub, and what is your hub's experience in this?
Well, if I may, just a quick, let's say, appreciation, because the Cyber Lab is more, it's not exactly what we have. We have a digital innovation hub, absolutely focused on cybersecurity services, for instance. Okay, let's say this way, because Cyber Lab is more related to my company, which is, let's say, my daily duty. But anyway, you were, let's say, at 98% accurate with your introductions. I would appreciate. I would extend also my gratitude to Kinetic and AI too, and of course Digital Europe SMEs, to introduce shortly the Digital Innovation Hub based in León. León is in the north of Spain, and actually we are very, very close to INCIBE and also regional government. But just to give you, because I also been in Aachen in the past, and I can witness so many great things they've been doing, let's say 15 years ago, about training on facilities and things like that. Let's say, for instance, I remember very well Max Data, which was a PC company, extremely good. So I have very good experiences in Germany. And well, Kinetic, just to give you a slice about what we are trying to put in place, which is not, let's say, not so advanced as Aachen, for instance, but we are let's say, on a good pace. Kinetic is a 14 years long or aged association, ranging or gathering around 1,300 companies, and at 80% of them are SMEs, which is more or less the average of the industry wherever in Europe, maybe worldwide. So SMEs have a strong potential and strong needs, as you, Han and Udo and Anna Maria also related before, or addressed before. AEI is 12 years old with 80 members, and our DIH is 1 year old, more or less, a bit more maybe, with 122 stakeholders today, okay, which, let's say, coherent figures, more or less, how we can gather around stakeholders, which is great, it's good. So we have, let's say, some experience, knowledge, and maybe, may I say, skill to gather around people, okay? However, the challenge for us is, again, also to collaborate, to reach agreements, which is especially, let's say, sometimes even fun in the south of Europe, because it takes time to agree on some things. But I might say that we already put in place some awareness services in order to, well, to open doors to many companies who normally don't use even today digital technologies on a daily basis. Some are getting in, some other are in the first step or early stage and growing. But it takes a lot of time. We also make first steps through workshops in order to those who are more skilled and more involved in digital technologies to understand a bit better what is all about R&D and innovation. Again, as Udo say, innovation is one of the more important motors for the next coming future. And we also have marketplaces started at a very early stage where we can say that all the stakeholders are part of the same, let's say, market ecosystem. So we might say we have some capacities to deliver services and some others who are already demanding these services, existing and new. Described as such, this is very close to traditional associations, clusters, and so on. So it's probably, I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. What I might say, just like in the States, in the San Jose Valley, it's a matter of time. As much initiatives we can put in place, the better it is for SMEs to take the right pace through this innovation success, or for these many failures need in their project to reach the successful product or service. So for us, let's say this program is fundamental to complement other initiatives of Commission the member states and the regions already put in place. So it sounds like perfect, but again, the challenge is collaboration, and just for one reason, because SMEs normally at 8 in the morning have only one thing, which is to survive, pay taxes and salaries. And it's very, very difficult for associations, governments, or even for big companies to have this in mind. Big companies also, more or less, everybody shares the same concerns. But SMEs have it, let's say, it's some kind of die or live on a daily basis. So it takes too much time to gather, to attract their attention, and to, let's say, ask them to forget a bit this need. But I might say since the last 15 years, maybe in Spain, we succeed in many fields with different stakeholders to manage it. So coming back to the question, how do we organize it, or what is our experience within CIBE and the regional government? I might say that we are in a very good place. We have a framework agreement with both of the three of us, let's say, in CIBE, regional government, and AEI, to put in place this digital innovation hub. And we understood from the very beginning that cybersecurity is a pre-requirement for any other technology or field, even for artificial intelligence, supercomputing, and by extension to the rest. So unfortunately, cybersecurity is too wide, and you know that, Sebastiano, it's too wide that it takes also a bit of time to get the right focus, either for small entities or public entities to, let's say, to figure out what they really need, or to put priorities in their, let's say, acquisition or development roadmaps, and also to those who have to deliver. So let's say that we have a good pillar to start since 1 year ago. Unfortunately, the situation stopped a bit our speed, but we are, let's say, I might say we are consolidating probably a very good initiative to complement all the digital innovation hubs all across Europe, fulfilling all the contexts already described by Hannah and Udo, and for sure with Nicola very shortly, because we are condemned to collaborate. It's just a matter of time. And let's say the big challenge again is to put some focus on priority. And so we have good pillars, but it's not that easy. It takes time.
Thank you, José Lucio. I mean, I also agree that we hear from different people that SMEs have an issue with capacity, and perhaps after so many years of digital discussing and talking about digital and seeing the effects of the digital revolution on the markets, perhaps I have concluded that most of the SMEs are now at least aware that they should look into this. Now, do they have the capacity to do it? Do they have the people? This is still the question mark. But at least when you talk to them about digital, they know that this is not something they can ignore. This is something they have at least to pay some attention to listen to you. Then, you know, what is the investment there is a different story. But of course, as we heard already from Han, there is also a little bit of a need for a public support, because, you know, in SMEs, as you say, Lucio, every morning they have to survive. And this is the first.
Indeed, it's not easy even to invest.
Indeed.
Because as with the figures I gave you, 1,300 companies are not easy to manage, because there are many different interests and needs, on more or less, you know, on a daily basis under the association umbrella. However, and it's a matter of, we used to say maybe a long time ago, when at the early, let's say, years of clusters in Europe, you will remember that very well. when we tried to gather around universities, we used to think, well, but we are already making these all these activities you're saying, and companies were saying, no, we do as well, and investors as well. Yeah, this is not about what you've been doing or what you are doing, because you are doing very well, more or less. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in that stage today in Europe. And we need a bit of perspective to understand that. The point here is to continue on pushing, because our competitors are quite, let's say, dynamic.
Yeah, they are super fast.
That's it.
Yeah, but talking about big numbers, because you mentioned, several hundreds or thousands of SMEs. Let me speak about big numbers also with the next guest, Nicola Bianchi, who is from an association, Confcommercio, which is very large in Italy. Is probably one of the largest associations in Italy, in one of the largest countries in Europe. Confcommercio has around 700,000 associates in the country, and they do have their own digital innovation hub. Recognized, it has been recognized by the Italian government, and so I'm very glad that we are moving now from Spain to Italy. Where are you based, Nicola? In which city?
We are based in Rome.
In Rome, excellent. So from Madrid to Rome, to the capitals. So Nicola will tell us about his experience. So what are the key services that are requested by the SMEs to this digital innovation hub over there? How do you ensure that you provide the best services to these SMEs? And what is actually your experience with a digital innovation hub, Nicola?
First of all, thank you, Sebastiano, for the invitation. It's a real pleasure to be here. Okay, you can go ahead with the slides. The one before. So EDI is the Digital Innovation Hub. Go ahead with the slide. So I talk on the. Okay, EDI is the Digital Innovation Hub of Confcommercio Imprese per l'Italia, which is, as you said, the largest trade association in Italy with more than 750,000 member companies, and most of them are small and medium enterprises, reflecting the structure of the Italian and European economy. EDI is also part of the Italian Industry 4.0 network, which was launched by the Italian Ministry of Economic Development to support the competitiveness of business. And we are actually running for the European Digital Innovation Hub pre-selection stage at national level. Our mission is to support the digital transformation of traditional business in sectors like retail, tourism, transportation, logistics, and services. But we help also companies in the information and technology sector, which Confcommercio represent, to transfer their methods, tools, and services to small and medium enterprise of the traditional sector. But what is digital transformation for us? First of all, in EDI, when we talk about digital transformation, we think about two things. Digitizing the core business of the company, which is taking what the company is doing today and use technology to do it better, faster, cheaper, and more effectively. And this is about make business process more efficient. On the other side, we are talking about transforming the business, which means adapting or creating a new business model. And this means step out the core business and creating something that didn't exist before, which is a real radical change for a company. What services I'm talking about? If you go ahead with the slide, before to go into details, I would like to introduce you the Italian context. According to the Digital Economy and Society Index, which is shown here and summarize relevant indicators on Europe's digital performance, our country is lagging far behind in the last years. In 2020, we are fourth from the bottom in the general ranking and lowest in the ranking for the human capital. You have to think that only 42% of people between 16 and 74 years old in Italy have basic digital skills and just 22% advanced digital skills. So this digital gap is something we took into account in the definition of our service for our Italian scenario. Taking this situation as our starting point, in the last 3 years, we have focused on the following services. If you go ahead with the slide, create awareness through events on digital transformation, training. I'm talking about train the trainers. So train our people which work as front end with companies, but in general, all the employees of Confcommercio. And then talking about training program for businesses on specific topics on technology, business, and strategy development that we implement through seminar, workshop, and in particular in the last period through webinar and video lecture. We support access to finance and project development, which means help the small and medium enterprises in finding opportunities on national and European calls for proposals, support the drafting process of the project, identifying the technological partners, and support the presentation of the application. Finally, we deliver digital services and tools developed with our partners to address needs on different business processes and different technological domains. You can go ahead. To address our mission, we are organized with a national hub, which is based in Rome, and 50 local offices spread along Italy, which allows us to address the local needs thanks to the capillarity of the network. And at the same time, through the national hub, which is structured to coordinate the local network and interact with stakeholders at the highest level, we are part of an ecosystem which allows us to enhance competences and the value of the network itself. Our ecosystem consists of global partners, universities, large corporations, research centers, startups, and innovative companies, but also the public with which we work together in order to develop better services. We strongly believe in the importance of the ecosystem, which has to be dynamic and always growing. Our organization, in fact, is a trade association, so we're not specialized on a technology as a research center or a tech company, but we are specialized in taking care of the needs of companies and help them in collaboration with our partner to find the right solutions to address their problem. Coming back to your question, the key services in this moment are driven by the new framework condition. I talked earlier about the digital gap that we are facing as a country, but there's another thing that has profoundly impacted the current scenario, which is the coronavirus pandemic. During the pandemic, we have seen raising awareness about the importance of digitalization, also from small and medium enterprises, which didn't think about that before. But at the same time, the pandemic has not magically solved the digital skills gap that burden especially on SMEs. Particularly, the pandemic has changed dramatically customer expectations, forcing the small and medium enterprises to address and rethink urgently their processes in order to ensure their survival. With a clear impact, at least in 4 areas. How the company works, think about smart working. According to a study of Politecnico di Milano in Italy, in January 2020, there were 600,000 smart workers. After the pandemic, there were 8 million. So a lot of small and medium enterprises are asking support to implement it in a systematic way, because it's not just remote working. The companies have also to rethink how they produce, so how to adopt Industry 4.0 technologies to make more smart, efficient process, product, and services. And very importantly, the customers has changed their habits and more want to buy and order online and get delivered to their house, for example. So the company need to rethink as well how to communicate, and they are asking support how to best use the online channels, such as websites and social media, and how to implement a digital marketing strategy, and how to sell products. Most of small and medium enterprises are asking support in the implementation of an e-commerce strategy, for example. On these 4 areas, we offer to small and medium enterprises training, professional training, not academic one, through specific webinar programs. You see in the slide the EDI training program, assessment and technical consultancy in collaboration with our partners with expertise on specific domains such as digital marketing or e-commerce. And then we support small and medium enterprises in the development of project to size funding opportunity. I want to add something about how we ensure to provide the best possible services. I think about 2 keywords. One is listening, and the other one is openness. First, listening is about listen the needs of the company, which seems obvious, but I talk about listen with methodology. So we have developed an assessment that allows us to identify strengths and weaknesses of a company in order to find the gaps and the needs. And starting from that analysis, we are in the position to offer the best solution or to try to find the best solution to address the gap in collaboration with the partners. But this is just a part of the story. The assessment is very useful to address the short-term needs of a company, but we have to look also beyond that. So the other keyword is openness, which means what the other panelists said before me, to work in collaboration on the definition of the services with an ecosystem of stakeholders, which has a typically long-term vision. Conventional stakeholder as competence center, university, research center, but also non-conventional one, as startups, incubators. And this openness allows us to go beyond the short-term needs of the companies. So collaboration, collaboration, collaboration.
Thank you very much, Nicola. It's good to see, obviously, that you start the analysis from the data provided by the Commission, the DAISY index, which is a great embarrassment for all us Italians in Italy and abroad. But I also share with you the vision that this pandemic is perhaps a great opportunity also for the country, because we see that there is some dynamics that has been created. It remains the second largest manufacturing exporter in Europe, beside Germany. And if the industry understands that they have to go digital, then it is going to be a complete change in the ecosystem. And I think the industry finally understood it, in my opinion. Now the question is, do the politicians understand the priority? And okay, but this is all about Italian conversations. With that, we have concluded the round. I'm very glad we have concluded the round of very interesting initial presentations. Let me ask everyone if you have immediate comments or feedback to what you heard from other panelists. Feel free to make a sign if you want to add anything. Otherwise, I wanted to start with a few questions and also ask the other people in the audience to feel free to ask questions. We have at least another 10 minutes, so we can probably go a little bit beyond that. So if anyone wants to ask questions, feel free to do so. I wanted to start perhaps going back to Anne-Marie Sassens from the Commission, to hear a little bit from her what she thinks about this conversation, and what she thinks is maybe good lessons, how we can learn from the best experiences, from the best practices, from the innovation process, as Han described. What kind of expectation we can put to the European Digital Innovation Hubs to spend also in a good way ideally these 750 million euros that we have. So what will you tell your network of regional and national policymakers to make sure this initiative works? Anne-Marie, sorry for the difficult question.
Yeah. Well, also thank you for the question. So I have heard the other panelists say very interesting things. I think the example in Aachen is really, let's say, very good best practice of how such a digital innovation hub can stimulate the whole digitization of the region. And what then I also see then in Italy and in Spain, that also there are many good initiatives, and they're slightly different because all the local contexts are different. So therefore, you always need to do something different, and it's not possible to just say Aachen is perfect. Let's do everywhere a model of Aachen in Europe. I think that's impossible. It doesn't work that way. But based on what Nicola and Lucio they are also doing what is something very useful for their situation, but they can learn then also from Aachen, if that is, let's say, the top, and you can pick those elements which you think would work in your environment and adapt them and try to see if that would also help you to develop your services better. So I think this local approach, it's very important because, you know, you cannot just copy one thing from one country to another one, but be inspired what is happening somewhere else. That really helps to also make the local offering better. And then what the two things which also Nicola said, which are very important, listening and openness. I totally agree with that. It's really about you know, listening to your stakeholders on what could be done, and then try to facilitate that then also these new services will happening. What Hans said also, that every sector has their own pace. That's indeed true, and every company has their own pace of digital transformation. But I think now it's what Lucio said at the end. We need to accelerate this because the normal pace, it probably goes too slow. So, and then sectors and will be disrupted, and they will not be there anymore in 10 years' time. So it's very important that with this push of the whole digital innovation hubs, you build on the local strength, you understand the local context, and really try to listen to that and develop a good service. Also looking then especially at the sectors which are behind, like the construction sector, which could really use a push. And that can really benefit them a lot. And that way we can hopefully come into a positive flow of acceleration of uptake of digital transformation.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Any immediate reaction to that from the others? Han, I see you were nodding. Yeah, you need to probably unmute again yourself.
Yes, I am doing that now. Sorry. Yeah, I think that what I've learned is that what you can share across countries or across industries is of many cases training. So if we would like to train people, that we could share that, because in many cases that's about the same, or you can adopt. Of course, you have to adopt it to languages. And I think I've been part of two previous European Union projects in best practices in SMEs. And what we saw there, that was also something that you could share. And of course, it doesn't mean that a best practice has to be applied in exactly the same way in another company, but it's a good way to inspire people and to let them learn. So making sure that we gather those best practices and spread them across the network will help other companies to learn faster. I think those are elements that I would definitely make part of a network in innovation.
There was also Peter Statev, who's here with us, who wanted to ask a question, I think to Anne-Marie in particular. Peter, I don't know if you can also unmute yourself and ask your question directly. Peter is, let me just say that Peter is heading the Sofia Tech Park, which is another, I think, strong candidate as European Digital Innovation Hub. And you will also help us later today doing the conclusions of the event. So your opinion is I think it's very interesting at this point as well.
Thank you very much, Sebastiano. I suppose everyone can hear me, but my question is to Anne-Marie. We know what are the advised rules for national selections of European DIHs. Soon will come a restricted call for those of them which the Commission will shortlist it. But we don't have any information what will be the terms, what will be the structure of application which the Commission is supposed to receive from all the shortlisted. Will be the same structure of information which is requested on the national level, or there will be some kind of template like for Horizon 2020. So I have no idea, and I do believe all my members will be interested to hear if any preliminary information would be available. Thank you.
Yes, Peter, thank you for this question. On my last slide, which I didn't show, I think, I didn't, but there are links on the last slide. And if you go to those links, and I hope that Sebastiano will make the slides available.
We'll share. Maybe it's already on the screen. Is it this one?
So here on these links, you can really you can find all the information. So we have already made available a document of around 50 pages, which explains. It's on the first link. You will find it.
We passed through.
This document explains exactly the structure of the proposal. And it is more like Horizon 2020, but it's also slightly different because this is not about research and innovation, but this is about capacity building. But it resembles a lot Horizon 2020 proposal. So it's indeed, it would be very good if you look at this because it will give you an idea of what you have to write. We will also organize an event in January. I think it will be the 14th and the 15th of January, but that's not fully confirmed yet, a Thursday and a Friday. And on this event, we will also explain everything on how this restricted call will work. But it will be more an extensive, longer proposal. You need to provide more innovation than for your national call.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Actually, we passed through all these links because they are publicly available on the site of the Commission. But my question was to clarify that these are the rules, not anything invisible until now. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me also remind everyone that we are currently on streaming, so there is a larger audience actually following us through social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and that the recording will remain available, and it's going to be visible from our YouTube channel. So all this information from Anne-Marie and from anyone else is being basically available to the public, and it will stay there. Let me try to conclude this panel before we have a short break. But before that, I wanted to ask every one of you if you want to give me like a 30 seconds takeaway. What are your final thoughts or things you couldn't say before that you'd like to remember from this panel? So maybe I'll start with Udo. We follow the same. I can give you some more time and go to Hanu. Yes. I'm sure yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was fascinating that we all have the same opinions, the same spirit, and I came to the conclusion that you really have to talk to the SMEs, CEOs, to every single one, pick him up who he is, try to help him, try to get him into this community, into the spirit of digitalization, and give him the time to do that. And that's what I heard from everyone, that it takes time, and it takes the time of the companies, because they have their daily business, and it's difficult for them to step out. At the end, in the beginning, when I thought about this meeting and the conference, I thought about, okay, 5-star tax incentive system, something like that, to give them more time. But at the end, it's people business, and we have to talk to the people. And the more we do that, the more we will be successful. And that is my resume. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Udo. Han, you're next.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm thinking about, I'm writing the tech radar for the Dutch government that will be published at the end of November. And we see a lot of new technologies will be coming up. We have digital now, but there will be other stuff. And one of the things that I think we should take care of or should look at is that some of those technologies, you might need to deploy them in your SME in order to keep your license to operate. Otherwise, you will not be able to participate in certain industry value chains anymore. So I think we really need to push hard now and push ahead to make sure that companies can participate, which is in Industry 4.0. That's very important, I think. And that makes even more important cybersecurity, because if everything gets connected, and what we see already, large companies have a really tough task in staying secure, let alone SMEs. So we really need to take care of that and help them to prepare for that.
Yeah, so they will not be excluded from the value chains, from the supply chains, especially of large manufacturers, large companies. Yes, I agree. Jose Lucio, you're next. Just a minute.
Yes, thank you. Well, very shortly, and getting a bit more in depth about collaboration, and Anna Maria said as well, it's not about a single model. Collaboration is not only with SMEs internally within each DIH, but it's also between DIH, with the commissions, with regions, and so on and so forth. So a small company collaborating with another one in Sofia, Aachen, Rome, or Rotterdam, or whatever it is the present. It's not the future. It's a present. It's a matter of I mean, to expand a bit the openness Nicola mentioned before, to expand a bit the mind and understand that the sooner we accept that we need to extend this collaboration, the better it is for each initiative. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nicola, you're last but not least.
Yes, thank you. I think it's very important to promote international cooperation between digital innovation hubs in events like this, and exchange of best practices. And I think a suggestion for the European Commission should be to create maybe a platform for exchanging good practices, training materials, as Anna was saying before, networking events, but also, for example, a library of standardized tools that can be used for different countries, like, for example, an online digital maturity assessment. So I think it's very important to promote the cooperation between our organization in this period.
Yeah. On that last point of Nicola, I must also add that there are already some initiatives about cooperation, collaboration among hubs, coordination. The Digital SME Alliance is a partner, for instance, in a EU project called EU Data Hubs, which is about coordination of the data initiatives within hubs. So it's already happening. This is just one, but I think personally, as an organization, we should be even a bit more ambitious and give more scope for coordination, exchange of ideas, and coordination among hubs. Anyway, with this, I'd like to conclude the first panel. Thank you very much to all the speakers. It's been very good, very nice conversation. And we have now a 4-minute break. Let's make it 5. We will reconvene at 10:41 to make it 5 minutes. Okay, thank you very much, and look forward to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good morning. So we see that the second panel is already lined up with the speakers. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me well. We are continuing our event, making digital innovation hubs work for SMEs. The second panel will try to dig a little bit more in the topic of international collaboration for among digital innovation, national and regional digital innovation hubs, and also look into what how we can exploit their potential in specialization in different technologies, building on the regional strengths, and also contributing to the regional smart specialization strategy. As I said earlier, one example of such the funded initiative EU Hubs for Data, where the Digital SME Alliance is a partner. But we have much more to do in terms of understanding how we can create a sustainable model for the governance and the coordination among the different European digital innovation hubs, how they can find and share the infrastructure, for instance, in terms of data, how they can share the data sets and create so that's what matter. So I know Gabriel for many years, and you are now with the JRC, and you are expert in territorial innovation ecosystems, so really well placed to have this conversation. But you have a long experience in these topics, working also for other organizations before. So, Gabriel, what is, maybe you can help us to set the tone and understand what is this so-called smart specialization strategy, and how it can relate to the regional digital innovation hubs. So, Gabriel, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Sebastiano. Thank you also for organizing this very interesting event. I will try to, let's say, explain why we speak about these smart specialization strategies in connection with digital innovation hubs. And this is precisely linked to the, let's say, the territorial demands, this strategy for the region, and had to get it approved. So this mostly is a concept that builds over the capacities and the opportunities a territory identifies for itself. And this process is made of identification of priorities, is made not only by the government of the region, but is made together with key stakeholders operating in the territory. So in the past, because when, let's say, for the current programming period, which started in 2014, digital innovation hubs were not there as a policy concept yet, because they were launched in 2016 with the communication for digitizing the European industry. So at that time, there were clusters, business associations, etc., participating in many regions in the, let's say, in selecting those priorities. And this is also opening up market opportunities and, let's say, the access to new value chains for operators in the territory. So if we can move to the next slide, please. As it was said in previous slide at the bottom, smart specializations as such are, let's say, giving a guidance on the priorities for a region where the region will invest EU money. And let's say this is something that also can be seen in this slide, which comes more from the DIH environment. Maybe, Anne-Marie, my colleague, has shown it in other conferences as well. Here in this slide, which is, let's say, tailored to the European Digital Innovation Hubs plans, you can see that there is the expectation to combine let's say, a technological focus with application areas and sectors. If you can click once for me, you can see that regional smart specialization priorities are precisely giving guidance, directionality on these application areas and sectors. For example, with the GRC in which I'm working is based in different regions in Europe because we have 5 different delegations, and mine is based in Seville, Andalusia. And Andalusia, for example, its smart specialization priorities are supporting from mobility to digital transformation to different other priorities that are already, let's say, informing their investments on ERDF. We will see then for the next programming period how it looks like a bit. So in these other slides, more or less, we can see again this combination of European digital innovation hubs operating in certain regions, in specific regions. There could be some serving more than one region, but mostly the digital innovation hubs are serving their own region. And again, specialization as a key element of them. Specialization in technology, but also in sector. And in type of, let's say, business they are covering. Next slide, please. So now next, let's say, combined to fund digital innovation hubs activities. Maybe we can show the next slide, please. Well, the bunch of, here it is, great. So we can see that on top of Digital Europe program, the program to which, no, previous slide, please. On top of Digital Europe program, which is it contains a funding mechanism that to which Anne-Marie was making reference to. Countries have to co-invest on countries and regions have to co-invest in digital innovation hubs labeled as Europeans. And this co-investment can be, let's say, got from a European Regional Development Fund eventually. As well as there will be a bunch of digital innovation hubs which will continue operating and will not be funded by the European Digital Innovation Hubs or the Digital Europe program, and still there could be funded by the European Regional Development Fund. So it's in.
I think I'm losing you. I don't know if anyone else can hear Gabriel now. No, we can't. So yeah. Okay, maybe Gabriel, we will
important
share
element of funding for the region.
Gabriel, we are losing you. Your connection isn't particularly good.
Governments. And another interesting, let's say, novelty in the new programming period is that digital will. Should I go back?
Yes, maybe you can try to close with your slides because we can't hear you super well. So yes. I'd like maybe to close your intervention shortly and start the conversation with the other experts.
Yeah. Okay. So very briefly, what we are doing at the GRC, which is the Science and Knowledge Management body of the European Commission, is providing technical and analytical support to our policy colleagues on all this stuff, trying to make the connections between digital innovation hubs and smart specialization strategies. Maybe we can move to slides. And we have delivered, well, we are maintaining on one side the catalog of digital innovation hubs that is publicly available, and I guess all of you know. This is a picture of the different reports we have been producing, where we highlight best practices coming from the regions and member states, and also a EU survey we have run across DIH managers and regional policymakers. And very recently, next slide please, last one, we have just published a few weeks ago report on how to set up and develop digital innovation hubs. So all this stuff is available online, and I remain at disposal for further questions and debate.
Thank you, Gabriel. Sorry that the connection isn't particularly good, but I think we got we could see the slide, so most of your content was, I hope, was clear to our audience. Let me move ahead then with the next guest, who's Dr. Stelian Brad. Stelian is representing today DIH for Society Hub from Romania. Stelian, you're based in Cluj in Romania. I think you are there also today, right?
Yes, I'm here also today.
And Stelian is a professor at the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca in intelligent robotics and innovation management. He has long experience in ICT, in industry, software, and he is currently also president of Cluj, the Cluj IT cluster, which is a member of the European Digital SME Alliance. So you have a lot of experience. You have this new DIH for Society Hub, which you are working with. So Stelian, the question for you would be: so in your view, how important is cross-border cooperation between regions and regional digital innovation hubs, and what is your experience in this type of working in collaboration with the hubs?
Okay, thank you. Also, I have prepared some slides about the Digital Innovation Hub for Society, but nevertheless, I'm going to start answering to your question, and then we can continue by introducing let's say our initiative. Actually, everybody I think is aware about the fact that today it's almost impossible to do everything internally, and because we are living different realities, and because the entropy of the ecosystem, of the global ecosystems, is quite high. So therefore cooperation, and even more than cooperation, collaboration of different initiatives is beneficial in terms of agility, in terms of resilience, in terms of also the capacity to react to very specific needs. GRC initiative of smart specialization, where also digital innovation hubs are part of. It's a great idea in this respect, and from this perspective, I would say that specializing these digital innovation hubs will generate higher opportunity or capacity for European or international networking. As I said, we have to keep in mind the idea that we are living with different kind of life cycles of innovations. It is a life cycle of innovation in a specific market. I mean, the beneficiaries of digital innovations, it is also specific life cycle of the services we can provide to these beneficiaries, but it is also a life cycle of the DIH initiative. So the success of this international cooperation will depend a lot about this capacity to balance these three type of let's say life cycles of innovations. This is also a goal for our initiative because, as you can see on the slide, even if we are located in Cluj-Napoca, where of course we have a lot of universities, technical universities, as well as over 1,000 IT companies, we consider that we have also to set up a regional and also a macro-regional networking in order to succeed with this initiative. So therefore, we started to make this type of strategic alliances at regional level with other institutions that relate with the market, that relate with the innovation providers, as well as other catalyst organizations. So truly, as a focus, we believe that digital innovations could make our world smarter, better, and even safer, more sustainable. And to encourage the infusion of digital innovation through companies, we set up an innovation model specific for such initiatives that follows several steps. It's something that we consider innovation 7Ds, as we call it, and we count in delivering different services on a bunch of 9 values based actually on the history we have in the market by delivering different kind of IT services at regional level, but not only, internationally too. We can skip maybe also this slide, continue. As you can see here, talking about our digital innovation hub, it's quite huge. I mean, it's large. We are counting on an open ecosystem with different partners clustered by different purposes, including solution providers, the representatives of beneficiaries, financial institutions, R&D and innovation providers, as well as the public bodies. And it is expanding, of course. So this is, let's say, a message also in relation with internationalization, because with such resources, we have the capacity to also act in a customized ways at international level. Please, next slide. Yeah, I'm not insisting on our services because in principle, all innovation, digital innovation.
This is a bit difficult to read, Stelian.
Absolutely, but just I wanted to impress you about the, let's say, the number of and diversity of the services we have in the hub in relation with different core functions of such initiatives. Okay, there are clustered in 7 groups, but all related with the core 4 functions of such digital innovation hubs. Definitely, we cover all let's say, recommendations provided by JRC, by the European Commission, but nevertheless, there is one group, the number 7 in this slide, that is related with the specialization of the innovation services that we can provide. So in order to go international, we have to smart specialize, to specialize your innovations. And this means not only the services, but also the capacities and the infrastructure you can share with the other partners at international level. We can continue with the next slide. There is another important issue for international presence, and this means clear positioning of DIHs. Yeah, mostly we have been focused by now on, let's say, making a kind of differentiation at regional level, because as it was mentioned several times today, there are different realities in different regions, different needs, but nevertheless, you have to look around to the other initiatives in Europe specifically and see where you have some strengths to provide and to become a complementary with respect to the other initiatives. So also in our case, we consider we have strengths in the area of artificial intelligence and smart robotics with the application in industrial production, in public administration, in health. And with this, we are going to focus on the international networking. Next slide, please. And for succeeding in this international networking, definitely every DIH should have kind of a framework. We call it the internationalization diamond, which is based on 4 core pillars. One is, as I said, smart specialization, but also the agility, the capacity to operate ad hoc in different kind of holonic structures with the other partners. The complementarity, it's another important aspect, as well as the resilience. Resilience in terms of capacity to make a balance between specialization and diversification with respect to different realities and unexpected evolutions in the market. So from the resilience perspective, I think we have to encourage very much this international cooperation, because in many cases that can save a certain situation. And this is beyond, let's say, it was mentioned before, that everybody has some assets and that can be shared because they are not present in your region. It is also to support the partners moving forward if they face with some difficulties in different periods or in different contexts. Thank you. And yeah, we have, because of this, quite
Delian, can I ask you to go towards the conclusion, because we have to,
yes.
I wanted to hear from other speakers and also have some discussion. Thanks.
Yeah, so Sebastian, this is the last slide. So thank you for the presentation. I'm here for any kind of questions.
Okay, yeah, I see a very large and good team supporting you, Delian. So that's good. Let me move to the next guest, the next speaker, Cristina Ollón. Cristina, you're based in Spain. Are you in the Basque Country? Are you in Bilbao? Yes. Okay, good. So we have been to the far, perhaps to the far east in Romania, and then we are going a bit west to Spain. Good to have you, Cristina. Cristina is head of strategic initiatives at the Basque Digital Innovation Hub. And she is, really playing an important role in the internationalization of the region and supporting the digitalization in the Basque Country. And Cristina, you're also very keen to see this initiative help to cope with women, more women in technology, especially in STEM education, which is really a big issue for most of us. And so I'd really like to hear your experience with your hub in the Basque Country, how you think the cross-border collaboration can happen, and how this can also perhaps contribute to solve this, to have more women taking up STEM education.
Thank you very much, Sebastiano. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation, and good morning to everybody. Yes, well, I'm going to try to explain very briefly some key issues about the Basque Digital Innovation Hub. In principle, it's an initiative that we started almost more than 4 years ago. Now with the idea of connecting different infrastructures and the knowledge around these testing facilities, infrastructures in key enabling technologies for the Basque companies. So we started with this idea of putting together equipment and knowledge from different agents, of technology agents in our territory. And this is the areas that we selected at that time. you see that we have 6 technology-oriented nodes and around 20 participants building a collaboration scheme to provide SMEs with testing and validation facilities. So next slide, please. Yeah, what we have built so far is an offer of more than 100 assets for giving companies with technological and economical advice, also facilities for design, prototype, and validations. And we started to define skills and training services in order to improve the digitalization of bus companies. In this trajectory, we also start to see how to address more services, taking into account recommendations from the European Commission to build what they call these European digital innovation hubs. So we realized that in our ecosystem, we have many options for this innovation ecosystem and networking services, and also support to find investments. So please slide. Next slide, please. And we are building right now around our regional ecosystem a broader scope, not only the 6 technology-oriented nodes that you see in the upper part of the slide, but also we are right now with different agents in our region. We are building this bigger effort as a regional ecosystem to provide not only test before invest services, but also support to find investments, skills and training, and innovation ecosystem and networking. So next slide. And first thing that we understand that this regional ecosystem is really interesting for creating awareness. We have been defining what we have called deep dive sessions, very technical immersion sessions in each node technologies, very practical and hands-on sessions, and also with a lot of interaction between technicians in the research and technology agents and the companies. Unfortunately, sorry, the other one, yes, thank you. Unfortunately, we couldn't go ahead with these deep dive sessions because of the health crisis. We have stopped this idea, but we are hoping that in the next future we can be able to address this hands-on approach. And the reason for canceling this deep dive session is because we really want companies, mostly people working in SMEs, to come to the infrastructures, close to the technicians and close to the infrastructures for these hands-on practices. Again, we are focusing also these deep dive sessions with a big effort for attracting women to this digitalization, because we are also working in different initiatives, in this case with the World Manufacturing Foundation, in order to analyze how we need to make manufacturing industries and digitalization attractive for women. So not we need to move from the traditional idea of manufacturing and industrial activity is boring, repetitive, and dirty environment, and to move towards a much more attractive and technology intensive activity. So these deep dive sessions are waiting for a better health conditions to be put into practice, but also, next slide, please. Together with this regional ecosystem, we are activating our company's demand for digitalization, and we have put in practice a funding program with the idea of supporting companies to hire our members, one of our 21 members, to prepare an action plan towards this company absorption capacity. But our funding program is also open for hiring for our companies to hire any European digital innovation hub that could support them in a different way or in a complementary way that our members in our regional ecosystem could address. So we have opened this funding program with this idea of creating not only a regional ecosystem, but relationships outside our regional ecosystem, and we are promoting with our companies this collaboration scheme with other data innovation hubs. So next slide, please. So this is a pilot program that we have started this year, right now, these 2 months. Also because of the health crisis, we have we couldn't start before this year, so it's just right now we have made it public with this idea of, as you can see here in green, also to promote the collaboration with European data innovation hubs, not only to put our companies working with the members in our regional ecosystem, but we are trying to push the collaboration of our data innovation hub with other digital innovation hubs in Europe, and also to promote our companies to have a more outward-looking scope and collaborate with other European data innovation hubs. We have started with a close network of around 10 data innovation hubs in Europe from previous relationships that our region, because of our regional risk-free strategy, we have a close relationship with different regions in Europe. For example, we are founding members of Vanguard Initiative, and in this network, we have found colleagues in Wales or in Tampere with similar smart specialization strategies addressing similar problems with their SMEs and with different infrastructures. So we're trying to build from this relationship towards a more concrete relationship regarding data innovation hubs. The same case, for example, with Nouvelle Aquitaine, that is our neighbors. So we are part of a Euro region. So we are trying to build closer relationships also as regional smart specialization, but also the concrete case of our data innovation hubs, or other regions in Italy, for example, where our company Esprit, the Basque Business Development Agency, has offices, and we have also built strong relationships because of other initiatives. So we are trying to put together different relationships to build this European data innovation.
I think it's clear, Christina, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think it's something. It's a good program that should be perhaps scaled up at European level, because I find it a very good best practice. Have you concluded, or do you have anything else to? Because I'd like
afterwards,
also to.
I can elaborate. Yes, afterwards. Thank you very much, Sebastian.
I wanted to ask you, what was this star that I couldn't help reading, that only for European digital innovation hubs that have collaboration agreement with you, but you explained that you start with about 10, but I hope you will increase the number. Yes. And I really hope that this is a good idea that can be scaled up and applied also by other hubs in around Europe. Yeah, with that, perhaps I'll move to the next speaker, who I don't see on the screen, but he's perhaps only connected via audio, who's connecting from Greece, another corner of Europe. Dimos Ioannidis. Dimos, are you there?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. So just a couple of words to introduce you. Dimos is from the information technologies, and he is also with the Hellenic Association of Mobile Application Companies, also in the family of the European Digital SME Alliance, and your association is running for a digital innovation hubs in the field of smart construction and energy. So Dimos, just in a few minutes, tell us a little bit what is your experience, and what do you think, keep in mind if you want to build a European network of digital innovation hubs, and how this initiative can succeed.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if someone can share my presentation. Otherwise, I will briefly speak in this session about how.
If you have not sent it already, you can share your screen.
Unfortunately, maybe I'm from mobile and it does not allow me to share the screen. So, but it's not a problem. I can let's say briefly describe the case. Already the colleagues before the speakers have let's say notified about the importance of hubs as we call it the last 3-4 years stress. Recently also in Greece, just to highlight, we had the applications for applying for being, let's say, national hubs initially, and then to be officially applied for the European Digital Innovation Hubs. There was a large participation, I would stress. I represent a research center initially. I have dual, let's say, cases today. One is coming from the SME cluster, the Hellenic Mobile Association cluster, but I'm coming also from the research. So what I would like to stress is that our first introduction to cooperation schemes and digital innovation hubs was through, let's say, the advancement of infrastructure that we made in Greece and in our premises in large centers, where we introduced a smart missing test beds and infrastructure will promote and enable the key cooperation, firstly in the regional level and then going at European level. What we did is that in regional level started with champions. Champions means that we had some cooperation with some companies that wanted to test before invest of some key innovative technologies, and they did not have either the capacity in the development or in the testing of these new facilities. And this was the importance of, let's say, the hub that had the infrastructure, but also the key personnel, the staff to perform from workshops, from demonstration activities, and also development activities. So these are three important, let's say, services coming from a hub. You had it also before for this importance. And then what I can say is that these activities were also boosted by introducing some key aspects, and the key activities came from the European level. There were some accelerator programs. I will name a few of them that we participated. It was II Help, and there was also the EDIHs network, and the other one was DI Help, where we let's say in a few weeks, let's say, we improved the business model, all the overall structure of this digital innovation hub. And later on, I will discuss about, after finishing the first session, how to, let's say, lessons learned is that we needed to elaborate on the initial concept of having the infrastructure within CERT with our organization, and then promote it and created a specific focused area, which is, let's say, construction and energy, where we brought all the stakeholders in the region, and now we have, let's say, a cluster around this that has also a very good progress in terms of operational. And then I will present, yes.
I would like to ask you to try to conclude, because I hear from different people in the audience that your connection isn't particular. I can still hear you, but other people cannot hear you very well. So maybe try to be short.
Yes. I think that it's very important that the cooperation between digital innovation hubs and, let's say, between key clusters that exist in European level at different domains needs to be intensified. And I think the opportunity from the national to European digital innovation hubs will give this opportunity at this moment.
Thank you, Dimos. Let me go on then with the next person for the last of our speakers, last but not least, Manuel Krieg from Germany. Your initiative was already mentioned in the beginning by the Ministry of SM, because you are one of the two initiatives that are trying to compete to become a European digital innovation hubs from your region. And you are yourself involved in several initiatives that have to do with competence centers and clusters and digitalization of SMEs. So I'm sure you have quite some ideas how especially the cross-border cooperation among digital innovation hubs should take place. So Manuel, please, the floor is yours. But you need to unmute yourself first, I believe.
Okay, sorry, thanks.
Yes.
So thank you very much for the kind introduction and the opportunity to present our approach here today. The region of East and North Hesse has a strong manufacturing industry since more or less the 19th century, with today around 3,000 SMEs in the sector and several worldwide known OEMs like Volkswagen, Continental, Daimler, and others. But our experience is that SMEs, or for SMEs, it is difficult to invest in innovation processes as they lack adequate resources. So the process of digitalization, for example, offers great opportunities for these SMEs. And still, it is not as far as it could be in our region, and I think more or less all over Europe. So that is the big challenge we see, and which we see especially for our region, for SMEs from this manufacturing sector. So that's why we brought together several partners from nearly all categories. So maybe we can go on with the slide, with the next slide. Thanks. So that's why we decided to create a digital innovation hub for Eastern and Northern Hesse, and which is focusing on the area of Industry 4.0 with the key technologies, artificial intelligence, IT security, and blockchain, which are, from our perspective, the most critical but also most promising technologies within Industry 4.0. And yeah, as I said, our primary target group are SMEs, startups, and business founders from the manufacturing industry. Please, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, we involved several partners from our regional ecosystem, and it's on the one hand from the science partners like our university in Kassel, but also University of Applied Sciences. We included several networks, business networks, company networks, and also the institutions for business development. So that's so we think that we have all the partners from our regional ecosystem, which we need to really support the SMEs in these processes. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, and as I guess nearly every application is doing, we've focused on these 4 application fields: innovation, ecosystem, and networking, test before invest, skills and training, and support to find investments. Next slide, please. And yeah, regarding test before invest, we see, as I already said, the challenge that SMEs are not familiar with new technologies or didn't come into contact with them. So that's not for every SME, but for many SMEs. And that's why we say, okay, we will have real lab visits and also test before invest. And the aim is to get around 1,600 people into these real labs and test before invest, just to get in contact with the new technologies and to understand how to use them for their companies. And yeah, we will have 15 real labs, especially at the University of Kassel, but also with other partners, where they can, for example, do testing and implementation of human-robot collaboration, and nearly every topic which is important about industry 4.0. Okay, next slide, please. Skills and training. Well, that's where we say, even if they understand which opportunities they have with these new technologies, then they need a really good trained staff which is able to implement these technologies, and that's why we would like to offer trainings, but also try to increase the knowledge transfer from the university to the SMEs, and also oh, that was a bit too fast with slides. Yeah, thanks. And also do internships, or offer a platform where internships can be provided, and create a job exchange program. That's what we would like to do in the skills and training. And if we have a look at the next slide, regarding the topic support to find investments, we have two focus points. One is the subsidy consultation. So we will try to support our SMEs in getting public grants, for example, to be able to invest in these new technologies, and the financing consultation, which is more or less the same, but not just focused on the public grants, but more on to see how they can create their finances in a way that they can really invest in these new technologies, including the public grant. Okay, next slide, please. And the innovation ecosystem and networking, there we see a big challenge in the whole innovative ability or capacity of companies. And according to studies, or also our experiences, that network companies have a much better position in terms of innovation ability and in introducing new technologies into the companies. And so our aim is to have several network meetings and to bring together the right people from science, from business development, and from the SMEs to increase the knowledge, to foster the knowledge transfer, and also do a continuous technology scouting, so that we from our side know what is the newest technology on the market, so that we are up to date and can give forward the newest information to our companies. Yeah, and I think that is more or less what we are trying to do. Maybe you can go to the next slide. So the output in general, to summarize, is we are trying to get in contact and really help around 600 of our 3,000 SMEs from the manufacturing sector, and increase the investment in digitalization in the region, and rise the digital skills in these SMEs. And in the long term, we are trying to ensure sustainable economic development in our region. That's it so far. I hope that gave a good impression what we are planning to do, and I was not too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. Wish you, success for your response to the call. Yeah, I think we see also many things in common among the different presentations from the two panels. And I believe, of course, no one is trying to reinvent the wheel. And so there are some common ideas which I think pretty much everyone has agreed on. And so it's good to see that, some of you also have new ideas, I believe, and maybe they are also inspiring other colleagues. I think we ourselves, as the European Digital SME Alliance, we are interested to hear very much what are the best practices out there, what are the different ideas, because we ourselves will be looking for a role. Perhaps we need to understand if we can be, also a network of digital innovation hubs, if we can coordinate, as we are already doing in the field of data, for data federated services, but also we could be doing more, because we have several of our national member associations, SME associations, are themselves, or clusters, they are themselves involved in these hubs. So there is really a lot of potential even for us. But let me just maybe remind everyone in the audience that if you want to ask a question or make a comment, this is high time to do. You can use the raise hand function or the question function that you should have in your control panel on the right of your screen. I wanted to ask the panelists if you have out of the discussion, if you have some good concrete example of things that could strengthen the cross-border element for the SMEs and for the hubs. We heard this good idea from Christina from the Basque Country, where they are opening up the calls for the SMEs who can then use the funding to get support from hubs in other regions. But is there any other good practice that you'd like to share with us? I mean, not just to Christina, of course, because she has mentioned that. Does anyone else have an idea of, is this a good practice that you think you should be doing yourself as well, if you don't have any other innovative ideas? I mean, we are all here to learn, to find out from each other's. Stelian, for example, what do you think about this aspect? I mean, you have yourself your own model of international collaboration, but in practice, will this program of the Basque Country work for you?
Yes, sometimes such initiatives work. Sometimes it is difficult because very much they depend of, let's say, the constraints, I mean, the scope of different funds. So definitely operating in, let's say, open ecosystems, this is the solution for the European Union. I mean, with such initiatives, we can strengthen the cooperation, and also we can see the European dimension of networking. The European Commission definitely had many other initiatives to network regions on, let's say, different aspects like Enterprise Europe Network or Cluster Cooperation Platform. However, from our experience operating in a network of IT clusters called the 3B ICT network, which is it's an alliance of IT clusters from different countries in the Balkan, Black Sea, and Baltic region. The success of strengthening the cooperation and the alignment to a given strategy is given by a kind of steering committee that should exist between different initiatives, which finally can facilitate the cooperation project. So through the from a practical perspective, the synergy at operational level would happen with such way of organizing the network. We, for example, last week we had a meeting facilitated by a consulting company in Italy, who invited more than or about 20 DIHs from different countries in Europe to focus on digital innovations in the health sector. So I saw this very interesting because it's a path for strengthening cooperation. It's a life cycle. First, we need to know each other, then to see which are your resources, your complementarities, strengths, and then to build up a collaborative business model. Definitely open innovation is something that we have to take into account in this respect of networking.
Yeah, Stelian, it's interesting because the company you mentioned from Italy is actually a member of our Italian Alliance, the national member, and they've been working with us. So essentially, it's my office who found the different 20 partners, which then they convened around the table for a meeting. So that made me think, if that worked and if there was interesting for that particular coordination meeting, it made me think perhaps the European Alliance should set up a coordination platform for hubs in different areas.
Absolutely.
I mean, we didn't do it in that case, but it was one of our partners doing it. But we should perhaps think about that for the future. Let me just ask everyone to make a final statement, because unfortunately we are running out of time. So I'd like to give like 30 seconds or so to each of you to stress your takeaways for this panel. Let me start with Gabriel Rissola. Gabriel, are you still with us? You need to unmute yourself first.
I'm here, yes.
Okay.
Yes, serving SMEs is let's say, the ultimate objective of digital innovation hubs, and digital SMEs, like the organization you are representing, your organization, can both play a role being a part of digital innovation hubs, making connections between hubs across Europe, thanks to organizations like yours. And they can also be beneficiaries of digital innovation hubs in certain contexts, because digital innovation hubs are able to provide very advanced services, and especially this will, let's say, be even more relevant in the next programming period. And indeed, we have observed that there are many startups, for example, who have received support from digital innovation hubs. So there is definitely a role to play.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel. Following the previous list, the next will be Stelian.
Okay, very short. Yes, cooperation definitely will be necessary. We have to count very much on the second law of Nash. Everybody talks about the first law of Nash, about Nash equilibrium, but the second law demonstrates this huge potential of opening new windows of opportunity by cooperation. And we have to make more for having a kind of shared value, because then we'll be capable to better use of the assets, of the resources in Europe for the benefits of all. And more than this, the idea is we need customized solutions. Customization cannot be possible without an enhanced platform for cooperation.
Okay, so cooperation again. Cristina.
Yes, well, I liked very much this point about the data federated services, and I think this is I don't have yet the solution, I don't have a best practice to tell, but I think it's a path forward. In our case, we have very clear that the Basque Digital Innovation has the first aim is to give support to the companies in our region, but we are thinking about how to implement this idea of European Commission that I think it's really interesting to create critical mass in different specialization areas. And when we face how to approach this specialization point, we have decided that it could be that the activity of our Data Innovation Hub could be used as a cyber-secure data space with the idea of development safe and reliable artificial intelligence solutions, not only within our Data Innovation Hub, not only with the Basque companies, but to open our activity to, on the one hand, create global digital value chains for our companies, but also open our offer to other data innovation hubs. And we have to work in this area. We don't have the solution yet, but I think that if you from the Digital SME Alliances are thinking about these data federated services, we are very interested to build on this idea. So please feel free to contact and to keep on working with this idea. Very interesting for us.
We'll do so. Thank you very much, Christina, for the support.
Okay.
Then Dimos, sorry Dimos that I cut you short earlier because your connection wasn't good. Maybe you want to, stress your point again.
Yes, no problem. So given the short time that I have, just to highlight that one important aspect from going to national to European is to strengthen the collaboration space, and this means there are a lot of diversity of tools available in different kind of ongoing projects, I would say, from marketplaces to collaboration tools to data hubs. Check what's happening in the data space, for instance, or where we need to see what are the most important key elements that should be there in the national and European digital innovation hubs to strengthen their collaboration. This is one aspect, and the other aspect is that as we are talking about SMEs, there are a lot of startups with young entrepreneurs. This means that we need to strengthen also the skills and the capacities. I think that through these digital innovation hubs, we don't have to forget only. We did not want to forget also these capabilities that we need to strengthen, and the digital innovation hubs shall play an important role. This is my two key aspects that if we found some tools there, this will strengthen a lot the cooperation and the maturity of such solutions. At least from my side, as I'm an expert also dealing with standardization on ICT on ICT in professionalism, this means that we need to take care from early education to promote these skills that should be then leveraged through these cooperation schemes like the digital innovation hubs.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Very clear. Manuel, you are the last.
Yeah. Thank you. It's not easy to make the final statement, right? So I think what Christina said was very important for me. So the specialization through cooperation, through international cooperation, that is something which we also recognized in our region and in our work, that that is crucial, especially for SMEs. We have several international projects within Horizon and Interreg, for example, but also initiatives where we work together with other international regions or other SMEs from other countries. So, and what we recognize is that this knowledge transfer from other countries, but also to other countries, is always very inspiring, and helps to break out from your daily business, right? And to get new ideas and to get innovative. So that is, I think, the crucial point for us.
Okay, very good. With this, I would like to close the panel and thank everyone for being with us. We will conclude the event with Peter Statev, who's going to help us doing some wrap up, some conclusions with the final statement from himself. I introduced Peter before, but let me say again that Peter Statev, welcome Peter. That Peter is heading, first of all, the Bulgarian ICT cluster, but he's also heading the Sofia Tech Park, which is one of the organizations running for the European Digital Innovation Hubs, and also, an important player in Bulgaria. So Peter, then you have the difficult task to, sum up everything and come to some conclusions for the event of today. You're muted, Peter. Yes, we all have.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Sebastiano, and Digital SME Alliance for this really very practical and fruitful webinar. And there is objective proof for this. The peak number of attendees was 76, and now they still are 50 after 3 hours hard working. So
we'll see how many we had on connected on the social media. I hope even more, because the webinar participation was restricted to our direct partners.
So what the conclusion I can make is that, first of all, it's really important to have this initiative of DIH as a meta organization, which to play like orchestration among all the stakeholders in an ecosystem which supports innovation. Unfortunately, in Europe, we are still behind US or Asia from this point of view. Synchronized, well working with the low administrative load system for support innovation. And I want to add that we missed something to discuss. It's connectivity between the DIH organization and the risk financing system in Europe, which will be crucial, especially during the moment when the supported SME will have solid backgrounds for their digital transformation, but then needs to go international. Yes, there are some initiatives like Cluster Goals International, but with sure we need more. So returning back to the DIH, what the main problems are, first of all, is understanding among SME, among their management and owners. What does it mean? It's not so simple to purchase equipment or to purchase software. It is much more complex, and I do believe this will be the how to say the most hard task to resolve, to prove that DIH team has enough knowledge to lead the companies and to lead on pragmatic manner, not only to citated well-known information which is available on a website or through the consultants. And here I can see the very good example. From my point of view, the best example today was from Aachen. Why? Because they succeeded to focus the social and business energy toward one goal: digital transformation of the regional economy and society, including all the aspects. And I suppose this shall be the aim for every one of DIH organizations. Now to say about, because many times all the speakers mentioned about the collaboration. Do we have collaboration now? Yes. Only our DIH, Digitech 4.0, is a partner in 4 DIH networks financed by the Commission. Agrobo, it's from agribusiness, DIH World, Better Factory, Bowie, DIH2, and we're partnering also with one more, RIMA from France. So why we need more interaction on the network level? Because all these networks of DIH organization created already, they are vertically focused, they are vertically separated from the rest of DIH networks. So I can see a pure opportunity for Digital SME Alliance, which to create platform, and then to ensure visibility and knowledge availability about everything happens on the European level. We are not competing among each other. We are competing with US and Asia. We are competing with rising Africa and South America. That's why it will be crucial to have one place, one point, and capable team where to ask if I don't know something which I need. So I can foresee, first of all, a bright future for DIH organizations if they will use all the knowledge available on pragmatic manner and to deliver to the companies, to the SMEs, not what is written in the books, but what the assessment of digital readiness of those companies will show us. Then all of us, we will be successful, and I'm sure we will produce a very competitive SMEs which can be significant players on the global markets. So one more time, thank you very much, Sebastiano and Digital SME Alliance and all our speakers. I suppose to see you, all of you, to see you next year, working together to create the leading DIH organization in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, everyone. We will follow up with the written report to all of you, and looking forward to see you at the next opportunity. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.